I tighten my grip on the steering wheel as the stone pillars of my parents' estate come into view, the wrought iron gates yawning open like a mouth that's swallowed me too many times. The GPS on my dash doesn't need to tell me I've arrived in Westchester County. I could drive this road half asleep. The asphalt curves through immaculate trees, their branches hanging heavy with early September leaves, the kind of curated nature you pay landscapers to maintain. The sun is low, casting long, theatrical shadows over the Carter residence, massive white facade, black shutters, stacked stone, manicured hedges trimmed to within an inch of their lives. From the outside, it's a lifestyle magazine dream. On the inside, at least for me, it's always been a lobby where I'm waiting to be called in. And the appointment never comes. My chest feels hollow in that way it only does when I'm on my way here. I'd rather be in my office in Boston, barefoot at my standing desk, yelling at product metrics with my team on Zoom. But tonight isn't about my work. Tonight is about their work. 30 years of marriage, done up in crystal and champagne, and an ideal family narrative they've rehearsed for as long as I can remember. I glance down at my outfit. A dark navy sheath dress, fitted but modest, hits just below my knee, paired with simple black pumps. My hair is sleek, twisted into a low knot at the nape of my neck. Neutral makeup, soft lipstick. Everything about my look spells. Competent, polished, not competing. I picked this dress very deliberately. It's elegant, but it won't catch a spotlight. In this house, there's an unspoken rule. Never outshine the star of the show. My Tesla eases to a stop near the front steps, and before I can even pull the keycard out of the console, another engine hums behind me, higher pitch, more aggressive. I check my mirror and see Chloe's car glide through the open gate, the glossy red of her convertible practically screaming. Of course, I linger for half a second, watching as she swings out of the driver's seat like she's stepping onto a red carpet. Chloe's wearing a backless emerald dress that glitters in the late afternoon light, fabric catching every photon like it's competing for attention. Her blonde hair is blown out in soft waves. A messy, perfect look that actually takes an hour and a half and 3 styling tools. The front door of the house opens before I even touch my handle. My father appears first. Tall in a tailored navy suit, silver at his temples, still carrying the athletic arrogance of his college football years. My mother steps out beside him, luminous in champagne silk, diamonds winking at her throat, a woman who has spent her life perfecting the art of being looked at. Their faces, polite, pleasant, go incandescent the second they see Chloe. "There she is!" Mom's voice echoes across the stone steps, bright as a bell. "Our star finally made it." Dad laughs, arms outstretched. "Chloe, sweetheart." He wraps her in a hug so wide he lifts her an inch off the ground, spinning her like she just came home from winning an Oscar. I sit in my parked car for one extra heartbeat, watching them through the windshield, like I'm observing a scene from someone else's movie. By the time I open my door and step out, Chloe is already in full performance, head thrown back, laughing at something Dad just said, her dress catching the light like a timed effect. Mom looks over Chloe's shoulder and her smile softens. Not disappears, just shifts. It goes from 100-watt stage lighting to something you use for a hallway lamp. "Natalie, you're here," she says. It lands more like an observation than a greeting. She air kisses my cheeks, not enough to smudge her lipstick. Dad gives my shoulder a quick squeeze, his hand already turning back toward Chloe before I can say, "Hi." "You look very professional," Mom adds, eyes flicking over my dress, my shoes, my pulled-back hair. "Very Boston CEO. It's cute." Cute. I'm the CEO of a productivity SaaS platform used by 300 mid-market companies and 2 Fortune 500s, and my mother calls my look cute. Dad claps Chloe on the back like she just nailed a touchdown. "Wait until you see the terrace, kiddo. We've got the jazz trio, the floral arch, everything you love. We told the planner. Make it Chloe's vibe." "Dad," Chloe laughs, but she doesn't say he's wrong. I'm still standing on the gravel, purse in hand, while the 3 of them turn and float inside, like the opening credits have just rolled. I fall into step behind them, the 4th shadow. Inside, the foyer is a cathedral of taste and money, crystal chandelier shimmering above, polished marble floors, a sweeping staircase doubling as a photo backdrop. White hydrangeas, blush roses, and eucalyptus spill from silver urns. A string quartet in the corner plays something delicate and expensive sounding. It smells like lilies and polished wood, like a catalog page that most people save as a mood board. And it feels like it always does to me. Cold. In the center of the foyer, on an antique wooden stand, sits a massive frame seating chart. Written in that airy, curly calligraphy people pay calligraphers obscene amounts of money for. I walk toward it, heels clicking. My eyes scan the names. Vivian and Edward Carter. Head table. Chloe Carter, head table. Board members, old money friends, random senator, nearby tables. I drag my finger down the list until I find it. Natalie Carter, table 11. My mouth automatically keeps reading. Table 11. 2 distant cousins I barely know. The son of my father's golfing buddy. A couple from his firm. A VP from some logistics company that supplies one of their ventures. Far side of the room, near the service doors. Of course, behind me my mother's voice materializes like she's been cued for this exact moment. "We put you with some of the business folks," she says, suddenly at my elbow. "You'll love them, Nat. They're investing in a few things. Lots of productivity tools, very your world." I swallow, I see. "We thought you'd enjoy the networking," she adds, dismissive hand wave, eyes already drifting over my shoulder to the front door, where more guests are arriving. "You always complain you never get enough exposure to whatever it is you do." She smiles. "This is perfect for you." Perfect for me, 6 tables away from them and Chloe. How thoughtful, I manage. She pats my arm, a distracted tap, and floats away, her stilettos whispering against marble as she glides to greet arriving guests with a practiced "Darling, you look fabulous." I'm left standing in front of the seating chart, my name marooned like it's written on a sticky note at the corner of a whiteboard. As I'm heading toward the bar, a slim woman in black with a clipboard and headset, the planner, obviously, glides up to Mom near the staircase. I'm not trying to eavesdrop, but sound travels in a marble foyer whether you want it to or not. "About the photographs, Mrs. Carter," the planner says. "We've scheduled the family portraits with the photographer at 8, before the cake cutting. Does that timing work?" Mom nods, adjusting the fall of her silk sleeve. "Yes, 8 is fine, but please make sure we get one of just the 3 of us." "The 3 of..." The planner glances at her notes. "Edward, myself, and Chloe," Mom says, like it's the most obvious thing in the world. "That one's for the living room. The others are just for the album." The living room. The photo everyone sees when they walk into the house. My hand tightens around the stem of the champagne flute a passing waiter just put in my hand. The bubbles slosh up the side of the glass, catching the light. 3 of them. Not 4. Never 4. The waiter notices, just for a second. He's young, maybe college age, with kind brown eyes and a slow, careful way of moving like he doesn't quite belong in all this marble either. Our eyes meet, and there's this flicker of recognition. Ouch. He tops off my glass a little more than necessary and slips away without a word. I retreat to a window alcove while guests begin to flood in, using the city lights in the distance as something neutral to look at. The champagne is dry. It sits heavy in my stomach. My throat feels tight, but my face remains smooth. Flashback, age 10. Thanksgiving, long table, kids' table shoved against the wall in the side room. 8-year-old Chloe gets the middle seat at the grown-up table because she sings a special song with Daddy later, while I, 10 and tall, wedge myself between 2 younger cousins, cutting their turkey and passing rolls like a junior hostess. Flash at age 12. Christmas morning. A mountain of gifts on Chloe's side of the tree, spilling out into the room in pastel paper and huge bows. My gifts, 3 neat packages, a book on economics, a sensible sweater, and a planner. Mom calls it practical, in that approving tone that never quite sounds like delight. Flash, age 17. I win a regional student startup competition with an early prototype for a time-tracking app. I get a check, my photo in the local paper. That same week, Chloe brings home an abstract painting from art class. Crooked, smeared colors, a feeling of our house, her teacher says. That painting gets professionally framed and hung in the main hallway. My plaque ends up on a bookshelf in my bedroom, behind my AP textbooks, where nobody ever walks past. By 19, I'd basically moved my life to Boston. MIT undergrad in management, nights spent hacking on early versions of what would become Carter Labs, constant hustle. Meanwhile, every family group text was about Chloe's latest pivot, yoga teacher training, handmade jewelry on Etsy, an unfinished photography course. Each new hobby was hailed like a personal brand pivot, while my startup milestones got, "Proud of you, honey." Once in a while, buried in threads about catering drama for yet another fundraiser, I lean my head back against the cool glass of the window alcove, letting the memories crowd and rearrange themselves like slides in a deck I know too well. In the center of the foyer, Chloe laughs, the crowd naturally coalescing around her. People flock to her like she's a light source. And in a way, in this house, she is. The one they shine the real bulbs on. "I'm the emergency generator." "Nat!" My father's voice cuts through the murmur of conversation. I turn. He's striding through the foyer, not quite looking at me, scanning instead for a waiter. "There you are. Do me a favor, will you?" he says, like I'm back home from college and automatically available for errands. "Make sure the bar doesn't serve the house champagne during the toast. It has to be the Dom. It's in the special ice bucket behind the bar. We're not spending 30 years together to toast with the wrong bottle." "Sure, Dad," I say. "I'll see to it." "Atta girl." He's already turning away. "You always handle these details so well. That's our organized one." He adds to the man next to him, like I'm a useful app. Not a guest, not a daughter being celebrated, just part of the event workflow. I take a long sip of champagne that tastes more like static than bubbles, and head toward the bar, because of course I will handle it. It's what I do. At work, at home, everywhere. I make sure the right systems run so other people can take the stage. By the time everyone's seated in the candlelit dining room, the string quartet has migrated to the corner near the windows. The lights are slightly dimmed, and the room hums with wealth and nostalgia. From table 11, I can see my parents' head table clearly, like a stage in a theater. Chloe sits between them, emerald dress shimmering in the candlelight, every gesture of theirs oriented toward her. Cousin Henry is at my table, along with his wife, a logistics VP, and a venture guy who clearly wants to talk about AI integrations and vertical SaaS. I do, politely, but my brain is half on the room, watching the narrative unfold like a movie I've seen 1,000 times. We've just finished the main course when the familiar sound of silverware tapping gently against glass cuts through the chatter. The quartet quiets. My father rises. He looks every inch the successful patriarch he spent 30 years becoming. Custom tux, perfect tie, posture like he's still being photographed for the alumni magazine. He raises his glass. The room falls dramatically silent. 30 years, he begins. His voice, the one he uses at corporate keynotes and charity galas, fills the space. 30 years of building a life, a home, and a family. He pauses, letting the words settle. I could give this speech in my sleep. I've heard versions of it at 10-year, 15-year, 20th anniversary parties, at fundraisers, at his retirement from one board but not the other events. It's all the same skeleton. Only the clothes change. He talks about meeting Mom at a summer internship, about the first apartment they could barely afford, about the early days of his firm. People laugh where they're supposed to, smile at the right beats. Then he pivots, as he always does, from legacy to offspring. "And what is any legacy worth?" he says, hand reaching toward the head table. "Without the next generation to carry it on. Vivian and I have been blessed, truly blessed, with 2 incredible daughters." 2. My pulse ticks up. Maybe this time. His gaze settles on Chloe, eyes softening, mouth curving into that proud dad smile he reserves almost exclusively for her. "But our Chloe," he adds, "has been the sunshine of this family, the heartbeat of our home." There it is. He launches into a story about Chloe at 5, performing some impromptu dance at their 20th anniversary dinner. A story I remember very differently, specifically as an event where 14-year-old me coordinated all the decorations, playlists, and logistics to pull off a surprise party that went off without a hitch. In his narrative, that effort is a footnote, if it exists at all. He moves on to Chloe's creative pursuits, her brave decision to forge her own path, her heart for people. He mentions her volunteer work teaching art at a community center for a semester, as if she personally rebuilt the nonprofit sector. The room laughs affectionately, eyes glowing. 10 minutes of Chloe highlights. 10 minutes of sunshine. My name never leaves his mouth. I keep my smile on. CEO face, my co-founder Evan would call it. The one I wear when negotiations get tense and clients try to push our price down, while claiming it's about strategic fit. It's a calm, neutral expression that hides both my annoyance and my advantage. Tonight, it hides something more tender and ugly. That small, pathetic hope that at 32, my father might finally say, "And then there's Natalie, who built something remarkable of her own." He doesn't. He ends his toast with, "To Vivian, my rock, my partner in everything, and to our Chloe, the greatest joy these 30 years have given us." Mom stands, tears sparkling, and they share a kiss. They both lean toward Chloe, pressing their foreheads against hers in a tableau straight out of a luxury family branding campaign. The room applauds. I clap too, palms meeting in a rhythm I learned before I could write code. Across the room, my Aunt Linda glances toward me. Her lips flatten as if she's about to say something. Then she ducks her head, suddenly very interested in the pattern on her napkin. Uncle Henry frowns at his watch like the time just changed. They've seen it for years. They've never said anything. The clapping dies down and Dad clears his throat again. "And now," he says, voice warming, "we have a little something special." Mom reaches under the head table and pulls out a long, narrow green box, the kind of packaging you only see in certain jewelry stores where security guards wear suits. The way she cradles it, the hush that falls over the room, the way Chloe's eyes widen. I can read the script from across the floor. "For the living, breathing reminder of our love," Dad says, eyes shining. "Chloe, darling, this is for you. You are more precious than anything money could buy. But that doesn't mean we can't try." Laughter. Chloe covers her mouth, pretending to be surprised, even though I can see from here she knew something was coming. She unlatches the box with dramatized care. Inside, nestled on black velvet, is a diamond tennis bracelet, thin but brilliant, each stone catching and fracturing the candlelight like it's its own private camera flash. There's probably some bespoke engraving on the clasp. There always is. A collective gasp rises from the tables. "From Tiffany's," Mom announces, because brand names matter here. Custom, of course. Someone at a neighboring table whispers a number, some obscene 5-figure estimate. I don't care about the price. I care that everyone is watching this moment and understanding implicitly its message. This is our chosen one. Chloe squeals, launching herself at our parents, hugging them both at once. The three of them form a perfect trinity. Father, mother, favored daughter, haloed by soft lighting and camera flashes from somebody's iPhone. There is no second box. No, and this is for Natalie. No gesture, small or otherwise, aimed in my direction. At table 11, my fingers rest around the stem of my empty wine glass. A cousin across from me gives a tiny, helpless shrug as if to say, "I see it. I've always seen it." I'm still not going to say anything. The quartet starts playing again. Everything moves on. When dessert plates are cleared and people start drifting to the terrace for some air, my phone buzzes in my clutch. A text from Evan. "Evan, how's the coronation of Princess Chloe going? Need an emergency extraction or just memes?" I huff out a silent laugh, the first real one all evening. My thumbs fly. Me, somewhere between coronation and human sacrifice. Might need to fake a work fire drill. 2 dots appear immediately. Evan. Good thing we actually have a real fire I can use. Singapore pilot freaking out over usage caps. Should I have Alexis call? There it is, my escape hatch. My team knows my family nights are emotional minefields. We have a pre-arranged protocol. Me, yes. Give me a work crisis, oh merciful COO. Evan. With pleasure, boss. I tuck my phone away, heartbeat steadier. At least in work crises, I know the rules. As I'm stepping back into the house from the terrace, my phone rings. Alexis, my assistant. I put on my business voice instantly. "This is Natalie." "Hey, I know you're at the event," she says, tone crisp but carrying the agreed-upon urgency. "We just got an email from the Singapore client. Their install is throwing permission errors, and they want a revised rollout plan tonight." "I'll step away and look at it," I say. "Send everything to my laptop." "Already in your inbox. Sorry to interrupt the fun." "Don't be." I hang up, that single line of code in my head. Exit. Finally running. I weave through the crowd and slip into my father's home office, closing the door softly behind me. The room smells like leather and aged paper, the walls lined with shelves of business books I read before he did. I flip open my laptop on his perfectly organized desk, log into our system, and call Alexis back on video. For 15 minutes, we screen share dashboards, tweak thresholds, adjust the rollout timeline, craft an email that looks like we anticipated the problem and are already ahead of it. When we're done, Alexis says, "Anything else you need?" "No," I say, "you just saved me." She smiles. "Go survive the rest of the night. Your real family says hi from Slack." We hang up. I close the laptop and lean back in my father's leather chair for a moment, staring at his framed diplomas on the wall. He's got all of them displayed: Harvard, Columbia, some honorary doctorate. Mine, from MIT and Sloan, live in my Boston apartment. In this house, there's no wall space left for my credentials. I stand. My feet carry me up the back staircase almost of their own accord, away from the noise. I tell myself I'm just going to sit for 5 minutes in my old room and breathe. Just 5 minutes. The hallway on the second floor smells like furniture polish and something floral. I walk past the door that used to be my bedroom. My hand hesitates on the knob. I push it open. For a second, my brain glitches. I'm expecting pale blue walls, my old bookshelf, the corkboard, the desk where I wrote my first lines of code. What I get is Chloe's Instagram feed turned into a room. The walls are soft blush, not the muted sage they used to be. A gauzy canopy hangs over the bed. There are fairy lights strung across the headboard. My bookshelf is gone. In its place, a glass display unit holds Chloe's trophies and crowns from pageants and showcases, most of which I know she quit midway through, bored. Framed photos of her are everywhere. Chloe at a launch party, Chloe at an art show, Chloe at a charity gala. My stomach drops. They didn't even pretend this was still my space. I walk in slowly, like I've stumbled into a stranger's Airbnb. The bed is neatly made with a dusty rose duvet. The vanity where my desk used to be is strewn with her makeup. Palettes, brushes, an army of lipstick tubes lined up like soldiers. "You've got to be kidding me," I whisper. I cross to the closet, irrationally hoping I'll find some trace of my life that hasn't been overwritten. On the floor, in the corner, sits a cardboard box with a label written in my mother's handwriting: Nat, Misk. I crouch down and pull it out. The cardboard squeaks. Inside, my college diploma in a cheap protective sleeve, my tattered Outstanding Young Innovator certificate from senior year, the glass award from my first real startup pitch competition, a faded lanyard from a tech conference where I'd slept 4 hours in 3 days, high on adrenaline and bad coffee. Underneath it all, my Sloan MBA diploma, rolled, not even framed. My graduation tassel is tangled around a photo of me on the commencement stage, handshake frozen in midair. Everything that marked my trajectory, from kid with ideas to woman who built something real, jammed in a single box, shoved in a closet. Like I'm the out-of-season decor. A cold, clear thought slides into place. They are not going to change. If 32 years and a multi-million-dollar company hasn't rewritten this script, nothing will. I sit down heavily on the edge of the bed. The mattress sinks under my weight with a soft sigh. My hand brushes against something stiff under the pillow. I reach under and pull out a worn hardcover book, The Art of Possibility, my grandmother Helen's favorite. My name is written on the inside cover in looping handwriting. To my Natalie, who makes her own maps. With love, Grandma Helen. My throat tightens. I remember being 14, cornered at a family barbecue while everyone oohed and awed over Chloe's 3-minute piano performance. Grandma Helen slipped this book into my hands and whispered, "The world is bigger than this house, darling. Don't let them shrink you to fit the wallpaper." I flip through the pages now. Halfway through, an envelope slides out and lands on the duvet. It's yellowed with age, sealed with a tiny wax stamp embossed with an H. My name is written on the front. Natalie. My heart hammers as I break the seal. The letter is dated 5 years ago, 2 months before Grandma Helen died. My dearest Natalie, if you're reading this, you've come looking for quiet in an old room that no longer feels like yours. I know the feeling well. My mother-in-law once turned my sewing room into a parlor for her bridge club while I was out of town. When I came back, my things were in a box in the attic, labeled Helen's Odds and Ends. In this family, they like their stories tidy. They like one heroine at the center. I watched them start to write you out of the frame a long time ago. But hear me clearly. You are not a background character. You are the protagonist of your own life, even if they refuse to read that script. I have seen the way you work, the way you build things that did not exist before you touch them, the way you love quietly, without fanfare. You remind me of myself, and of all the women in our line who did not fit the roles they were handed. I could not stand by and leave you with nothing but their edited version of events, so I have done something a bit mischievous. At First Hudson Bank in White Plains, there is an account in your name only. Mr. Calloway knows to expect you someday. In that box are some funds, not enough to buy a kingdom, but enough to buy your freedom if you ever need it. More importantly, there are my private journals, my uncensored history, my mistakes, my strategies. The code to access it all is the date of our Met trip, just you and me. The day we stood in front of that huge painting of the ship in the storm and you said, "It looks like it could tip, but it doesn't." You've always understood balance, my girl. Use what I've left you, not just to escape, but to build. To choose your own table, your own people. Family is not always who shares your blood. It is who sees you when the house pretends you're invisible. Never forget, you are not their supporting actress. You never were. You are my heir, not to money, but to stubbornness and strength. With all my love and faith in you, Grandma Helen. The words blur as tears fill my eyes. I press the letter to my chest and bend forward, shaking with silent sobs. The hum of the party downstairs is a distant vibration, like a different planet. She saw it. She saw all of it while she was alive and did what she could to tip the scales, even a little. I'm not crazy. I'm not oversensitive. I'm not imagining the years of being pushed to the edge of every photo. Someone in this family loved me enough to write a different ending. My phone vibrates on the bed beside me. 3 new messages. Evan. Update. Singapore fire contained. Update 2. We all just toasted you with leftover office Prosecco. How's the circus? Maya, head of product. Just saw the draft of the Forrester report. They called you one of the most influential operators in workflow automation. No big deal or anything. Jordan, head of sales. If your family puts you near the kitchen again, we're flying down there and stealing you. We have cheese boards and chaos here, the good kind. My fingers hover over the keyboard for a second before I type. Me, found a letter from my grandma. She left me a secret account and her journals. Also, spoiler alert, I'm done fighting for a seat at their table. The replies come fast. Evan. Let's go. I've been rehearsing my "you deserve better" speech for years. Proud of you already. Maya. I'm framing the phrase, I'm done fighting for a seat at their table. Also, your grandma sounds like a legend. Jordan. New company value. No Natalie's at the kitchen table. Only head of table energy from now on. I feel my breath steady. My heart, still raw from crying, finds a different rhythm when I think about them. The people who celebrate every contract we close, who send me memes when I'm stressed, who never look surprised when I succeed. That is family, or at least, it's what I want family to feel like. I fold Grandma's letter carefully and slide it into my clutch alongside my phone. The weight of it, small but solid, feels like a key. On my way out of the room, my eye catches something glinting on Chloe's vanity. A vintage gold locket I recognize from old photos, Grandma Helen's. Mom had borrowed it years ago, and it somehow became Chloe's accessory in half her Instagram posts. I walk over, heart pounding, and pick it up. I remember Grandma fastening it around my neck once, when I was 12 and crying in the laundry room because my science fair project was overshadowed by Chloe's adorable papier-mâché volcano. "Gold belongs where it's treasured," she'd said then, "but if it's not, you take it back." I unfasten the clasp on myself now and pin it at my collarbone. It settles there like it never left. On the dresser, there's also a framed photo from my college graduation. My parents and Chloe, all three looking at Chloe's camera while my cap is half out of frame. My stomach twists. I pick it up, open the back, and slide the photo out. With a few quick folds, I crop out my parents' hands on Chloe's shoulders. The tiny rectangle of just me, cap and gown, eyes bright, goes into my wallet behind my Amex. My own proof of existence. On the wall in the hallway, I pause in front of a family portrait from years ago. Once again, I'm at the far edge, half turned away, shoulder cut off by the frame. I lift it carefully off the hook, and for a second I consider smashing the glass. Instead, I set it face down on the console table. Not my responsibility to keep their version of us upright. Downstairs, the party is in full swing. Someone's moved the quartet outside, where lanterns glow and laughter whips through the early fall air. I move through the crowd, the weight of the locket at my throat and the letter in my purse like armor. Near the French doors, I spot Mr. Calloway, my parents' longtime financial advisor, a thin man in his 60s with kind eyes and an endless series of beige suits. He's sipping champagne and talking to one of Dad's colleagues. I wait for a break and step in. "Mr. Calloway?" He turns. "Ms. Carter, Natalie." His smile is more genuine than most I've seen tonight. "Congratulations on all your company's recent press. I've been following Carter Labs. Impressive trajectory." "Thank you," I say. My hands don't shake. "I believe you also handled some accounts for my grandmother, Helen Carter?" His expression shifts, just slightly. "There it is. Recognition." "I did. She mentioned you in a letter," I say, lowering my voice. "And a box at First Hudson in my name." Relief flickers across his features. "Ah, yes." He glances quickly toward my parents, who are clinking glasses with some donors, then back to me. "I wasn't sure when you'd... but yes, it's there. It's all in your name, Natalie. We can discuss it privately when you're ready." I hand him one of my business cards. "Natalie Carter, CEO, Carter Labs." "At your convenience," I say. He slips the card into his pocket like it's something precious. "Your grandmother spoke very highly of you," he says softly. "Said you were the one who would understand her notes." For the first time that evening, I smile in a way that reaches my eyes. I intend to. Nobody notices when I hand my valet ticket to the staff. Mom is busy laughing at something one of the wives said. Dad is holding court, telling some story about a deal he almost lost and then heroically salvaged. Chloe is in the center of a group selfie, bracelet held out just enough to catch the flash. My car pulls up. The young valet opens the door for me. "Have a good night, Ms. Carter," he says, and he actually means me, not my parents behind me. As I slide into the driver's seat, my phone buzzes. A text from Chloe. "Chloe, Nat, where are you? We're about to cut the cake." I stare at the screen for a long moment. My thumbs hover, but I don't type anything. I start the car. The engine hums to life. I pull away from the house, the lights of the party shrinking in my rearview mirror like a scene at the end of a movie I've watched too many times. Tears blur my vision again, but this time they feel different. Not helpless. Not childlike. More like a release valve finally opening after too much pressure. For 32 years, every drive away from this house has been a commute between who I am here, background, and who I am in my real life, center of gravity. Tonight, for the first time, I feel the roads connecting, not splitting. I'm not driving toward their approval anymore. I'm driving toward my own life. By the time I hit the highway, my breathing has stabilized. The lingering ache in my chest is still there, but beneath it, There's something else. Resolve. 40 minutes later, I pull up in front of La Stella, my favorite Italian place in Manhattan. You know the type. Dim light, exposed brick, polished wood, soft jazz, waiters who remember your order and don't ask pointless small talk questions. Through the windows, I see them at our usual corner table. Evan, Maya, Jordan, plus 2 more chairs already half filled with jackets. They haven't seen me yet, but there's a bottle of Prosecco open and 4 glasses already poured. Of course there are. The host spots me first. His face brightens. Ms. Carter, good evening. Hi, Marco, I say. My voice sounds rough from crying, but he pretends not to notice. They beat me here, I see. They insisted on the corner, he grins. Said it has the best tactical advantage for spontaneous celebrations. He takes my coat, and I walk across the restaurant, heels soft against the worn floorboards. Evan looks up mid-sentence and stops talking. A slow smile spreads across his face. There she is, he says, lifting his glass. Maya reaches for my hand as I slide into my chair. You escaped, she says. We had a running bet on whether you'd make it before or after dessert. I left before cake, I admit. Iconic behavior, Jordan says. We'll order tiramisu. Upgrade. Evan lifts his glass higher. To the woman who built an actual product while everyone else was building optics, he says. To our CEO, who could be at any table in any city and chose ours. His words chip something open in my chest. My smile feels shaky, like a muscle I haven't used in a while, but it's real. My phone buzzes again. I glance down. 3 texts in a row from Mom. Mom, where did you go? Mom, you have caused a lot of questions. Mom, call me immediately. Then one from Dad. Dad, you missed Senator Hughes and the Halloways. They specifically wanted to talk to you. Dad, this is not acceptable. We will discuss this. No, are you okay? No. Did something happen? Just you inconvenienced us. I set the phone face down on the table. Let me guess, Evan says, watching my expression. They're furious about the optics. They're worried I made them look bad, I say. Good, Maya mutters. Reality check. I exhale, long and slow. You know, Jordan adds, topping off my glass. The fact that they're more concerned about missing a senator than missing their own daughter kind of proves the whole point. I nod. For once, I don't rush to defend them. The door to the restaurant opens, and a gust of cool night air sweeps in with 2 members of our team. Lena from marketing and Sam from engineering. They beeline toward our table, breathless. Did it drop yet? Lena asks, pulling out her phone. I got a push alert halfway down the block. My stomach flips. Already? I thought the press embargo was until tomorrow morning. Evan shrugs. You know how leaks are. Someone sneezes and half of TechCrunch hears it. As if on cue, phones start lighting up around us. Not just at our table, at nearby tables too. The couple to my left both look down at their devices, then glance over at me, then at the screen again with widening eyes. My phone vibrates, face down. I flip it over. Breaking. Carter Labs to be acquired by Flowline Systems in deal valued at approximately $80 million. For a second, the world goes silent. Then noise floods back in. Notifications slide down my screen so fast I can't read them. Emails, texts, LinkedIn messages, mentions, DMs from reporters, old classmates. Former bosses who once told me I was too intense forwarding the article with, "So proud of you," like they had anything to do with it. The restaurant owner himself appears at our table with a bottle of something that clearly isn't house wine. On the house, he says, eyes bright. My son used your tool for his LSAT prep. He swore it saved him. Congratulations, Ms. Carter. Thank you, I say dazed. Lena clinks her glass against mine. To the girl who used to live in Section C of the MIT library and now owns half the internet, she jokes. Not quite half, Sam says, but he's grinning. Evan leans across the table, voice softer. You know what I love most about this? He says. They probably think tonight is their big show. And somewhere in the background, the biggest news of your life broke. and it had absolutely nothing to do with them. I feel a laugh bubble up from somewhere deep. Petty, I say, but my smile gives me away. Correct, he nods, but also true. During a lull, Kate, from Ops, slides a small gift bag toward me. We were going to give this to you at the all hands tomorrow, she says, but tonight feels appropriate. Inside is a silver frame. In it, a black and white photo of Grandma Helen at my age, sitting at a cramped desk with an old adding machine and a stack of ledgers. There's a sign on the wall behind her, Carter Bookkeeping. Her expression is fierce, focused, determined. Your Aunt Linda sent it, Kate says. She dug it out of some old boxes when she heard about the acquisition. Said your grandmother would have wanted you to have it. My throat closes. I run a finger along the frame. She would, I whisper. Evan squeezes my arm under the table. You know what this is? He says quietly. Proof that you were never the first woman in this family to build something of her own. Just the first one they couldn't ignore publicly. Later that night, in my Boston apartment, the city sparkling outside my floor-to-ceiling windows, I sit at my dining table, one I bought myself, with my own money, in my own name, and open my laptop. I type Mom, Dad, and then stop. I don't mention the deal. I don't mention the number. They'd only try to spin it, either as one more Carter success story under their umbrella, or as proof that I've gotten too big for my britches. Instead, I write, I left the party tonight because I needed to be somewhere I was welcome, not just useful. I love you both. I am grateful for many things you gave me. But I will no longer attend events where I'm seated near the kitchen while my sister is placed at the center, or where I'm expected to manage logistics, but not included in the photos you hang in your home. I'm no longer willing to perform the role of the invisible, reliable daughter. If you want to have a relationship with me moving forward, it will have to be on different terms. Mutual respect, equal visibility, honest acknowledgement of how things have been. I wish you a happy anniversary, truly. But I'm done fighting for a seat at your table. I've found my own. I read it 3 times. My finger hovers over send. Not tonight, I decide. Tonight belongs to me, my team, my grandmother, the girl in the cropped graduation photo, the woman who just sold her company. I close the laptop and let the city lights be my witness. 3 days later, my parents insist on a meeting. We need to talk about your behavior, Mom says over the phone. I choose the location. Aurelia, a glass and steel restaurant on the 38th floor of a tower in downtown Boston, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor. It's a power lunch place, the kind where deals are inked over tiny, artfully arranged entrees. This is my territory. I arrive with Lauren, my lawyer, and de facto executive assistant for all things high-stakes personal and professional. She sits beside me, a sleek folder in front of her. To my parents, her presence will look like overkill. That's the point. They're 7 minutes late. Mom's wearing pearls and a cream blazer, looking like a lifestyle blogger's idea of effortless chic. Dad's in another tailored suit. They hesitate when they see Lauren. I wasn't aware we needed counsel for a family conversation, Dad says, attempting a joke that doesn't land. Lauren is here to help me stay organized, I say. This is important to me. I want to be clear. They sit. The server brings water. Nobody touches the menus. Mom starts without preamble. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it was when you disappeared like that? She says, voice low but sharp. People were asking where you were. We had to tell them you weren't feeling well. It made us look human, I offer. Honest? Unreliable, Dad snaps. We told the Hendersons they'd get to talk to you about all this tech nonsense you're doing, and you just vanished. Tech nonsense. $80 million worth of nonsense. I left after you asked the photographer for a portrait of just the 3 of us, I say calmly. You, Dad, and Chloe, for the living room, again. Mom blinks. You overheard that? Yes. Oh, Natalie, don't be so dramatic, she sighs. It was just one photo. Lauren slides a thin manila folder toward me. I open it and take out a stack of printed photos. Was it just one? I ask. I lay down the first photo. Christmas 2002. Chloe in the center, my body half-cropped at the edge. Mom frowns. That's just bad framing. Second photo, Easter brunch 2010. Chloe between my parents, me visible only as a shoulder at the very side. Third, my high school graduation. I'm holding my diploma, eyes toward the camera, while both my parents are turned toward Chloe, laughing at something she's saying. Dad's jaw tightens. We were there, he says. Isn't that what matters? No, I say. What matters is where you put your attention, where you placed your bodies, where you consistently centered your affection. The server tries to come take drink orders. Dad waves him away impatiently. Mom's eyes glisten with tears. We have always loved you, she insists. You're our responsible one. We thought you understood that Chloe needed more reassurance. She's more fragile. Fragile? The word tastes bitter. You built an entire psychological scaffolding around her. You gave her your attention, your praise, your gifts, your face in every photo. And what I got was tasks, responsibilities. Make sure the champagne is right. Make sure the caterer's on time. That's unfair, Dad says, voice rising. You've been very successful. We've told people we're proud of you. You tell your friends, I say quietly. You rarely tell me. Eliza wasn't supposed to be here, but then I see her in the reflection behind me as the elevator doors open. Chloe, in a city chic jumpsuit and oversized sunglasses pushed up like a headband. Of course they brought her. She approaches the table, eyes already wide with worry. Hey, she says, sliding into the seat next to Mom. Traffic was insane. Mom squeezes her hand like a prop. We were just explaining, she says to me, how your leaving made us look. How I looked, Chloe corrects, turning to me. It felt like you were punishing me, like you wanted to ruin my night. I look at her. Really look at her. For the first time, I see past the curated outfits and the joking deflections, to the scared girl underneath, terrified that love can be interrupted. I wasn't trying to punish you, I say. I was trying to save myself. She flinches. From what? From being erased, I say simply. Dad exhales hard through his nose. This is all because of that letter, isn't it? He demands. The one from my mother. The little secret she concocted with that banker. Mr. Calloway spilled the beans. Mom looks stunned. Letter? What letter? I reach into my bag and pull out a photocopy, not the original. I slide it to the center of the table. Grandma left me a letter, I say, and a trust, and her journals. She saw what was happening. She saw you turning this family into a stage with one leading lady, and she wanted me to have a way out. Mom's face drains of color as she reads the first lines. She never told us, she whispers. Of course she didn't, I say. You would have tried to control it, to explain it away, to minimize it. Dad slams his palm on the table hard enough to rattle the water glasses. This is absurd, he snaps. You're twisting everything into some narrative where you're the victim. You've always been dramatic, Natalie, even as a kid. Lauren clears her throat. Excuse me, she says politely. But I've reviewed the photos, the financial records related to gifts, and some correspondence. There is a pattern here that's hard to ignore. Dad glowers at her. And who are you? My counsel, I say, and my friend. Success has gone to your head, Mom says, tears spilling now, leaning forward. You used to be our easy one, the one who didn't make waves. Now you're... She struggles for the word. Oh, hard. No, I say gently. I'm just done swallowing this whole. Chloe's mascara is smudging. You're really going to... What? Cut us off? Over a photo? It's not just a photo, I say. It's decades. It's thousands of tiny cuts. It's building a life where I'm allowed to be the center and then being expected to shrink the second I cross your threshold. Dad snorts. Oh, here it comes, he says. The grand speech about how you don't need us. You and your startup. Company, I correct. We just finalized an acquisition. Carter Labs was bought by Flowline for $80 million. The words hang in the air. For a moment, silence is a person at our table. Mom's mouth falls open. Dad's eyes widen. Chloe stares at me like I've spoken another language. "You what?" Mom breathes. I slide a glossy press release across the table, more out of habit than anything. "I wasn't going to tell you right now," I say. "Because this isn't about the money. It's about boundaries. But since you've insisted on painting this as me being ungrateful or dramatic, I want you to understand something very clearly." I meet each of their eyes in turn. "I would like to have a relationship with you," I say. Not a performance, not a PR campaign for the Carter brand, a real relationship. But I do not need one to survive. I built a life without your approval. I built a company without your help. I am willing to talk, to forgive, to move forward. But not if the price is my invisibility. Dad opens his mouth, shuts it, tries again. "You can't talk to us this way," he says finally. "We're your parents, and I'm your daughter," I reply. "You should have thought about that when you kept cropping me out." I stand and push my chair back, the legs scraping softly against the floor. Lauren stands too, gathering her folder. "I booked the room for an hour," I say. "You're welcome to finish the time, talk among yourselves, or don't. Up to you." I look at Chloe. Her eyes are wet, confused, hurt. "If you ever want to talk to me as Chloe, not as the family's golden child," I say, "call, I'll answer." She nods slowly, processing. I turn to my parents one last time. "I hope you have a good life," I say quietly. "Truly. I just won't be sitting at the far end of your table anymore." As I walk toward the elevator, the room tilts slightly. I feel lighter and heavier at the same time. The elevator doors slide shut. My reflection stares back at me. For the first time in my adult life after a family encounter, I don't see anger etched into my jaw. I see something like peace. 6 months pass. The acquisition closes. Vesting schedules are agreed upon. Integration plans roll out in long, meticulous spreadsheets. I stay on as president of productivity systems for Flowline, but with more freedom than I've ever had, and more cash in my account than anyone in my family knows. I move into a spacious loft in Boston. High ceilings, floor-to-ceiling windows looking out over the harbor and the city skyline. The kind of place you fantasize about when you're coding at 2 a.m., in a cramped apartment with 3 roommates. In the center of my open-plan kitchen dining area stands a table I never thought I'd own. A big, old oak dining table, scratched and worn in the best way. It's a Carter heirloom, my parents' original family table, the one from my childhood photos. They were upgrading to something sleeker for their remodeled dining room. It went to auction. I outbid everyone anonymously, then had it delivered to Boston. Not as some sentimental gesture toward reconciliation, as reclamation. The first time I run my hand along the smooth, familiar surface, I feel back pocket memories snap into place. Spilled milk, homework, arguments over broccoli, winter sunlight slanting across math worksheets. A lot of those memories hurt. But the table itself? The table is neutral. It didn't choose who sat where. I do now. That evening, I set it for 12 people. White plates, simple wine glasses, linen napkins in deep blue. In the center, instead of a massive floral arrangement meant to impress, there's a single framed letter. Grandma Helen's, in a slim frame, propped against a small vase of wildflowers. Guests start to arrive. Evan and his husband, with a bottle of Barolo and a bag of bakery bread. Maya with her girlfriend, carrying a tray of roasted vegetables that smell like heaven. Jordan with his new partner, plus a cheesecake. Lena, Sam, Kate, and Alexis. 2 young women I barely know in person, but have been mentoring through the Helen Carter Fellowship, a small foundation I started with a slice of my acquisition payout to support women building B2B tools. The loft fills with laughter, overlapping voices, the hiss of pans and the clink of wine bottles against the counter. Someone puts on a playlist. Someone else tells a story about a product bug that once took down our servers 5 minutes before a demo. At some point, I slip into my small office just off the main space. On the wall, next to my Flowline badge and the framed Forrester report, hangs a photo of Grandma Helen at her little desk, and beneath it, the original letter, preserved behind glass. Next to that, I've pinned a new printout. A still from my TED-style talk I gave last month. Finding your value when your first audience refuses to see you. 200,000 views and counting. Messages from strangers pouring into my inbox, saying, "This is my family too. I thought it was just me." My phone buzzes. A text from Chloe. "Chloe, they're still annoyed you skipped Easter. Dad called it another stunt." Chloe, "I told them they don't get to be surprised anymore." Chloe, "Coffee next week? Just us?" I smile, a slow, cautious thing. Our reconnection has been tentative. Discreet coffees when she's in Boston. A few brutally honest conversations about how it felt to be the chosen one in a family that handed her all the spotlight and none of the tools. She's back in school now, taking night classes in graphic design. She sends me drafts of things she's working on. I send her product design blogs and the names of people to follow. We're both unlearning. She's not my enemy. She never was. She was just the only one they allowed to sit in the center. I text back. "Me, coffee sounds good." "Me, no crowns, no bracelets, just us." Chloe, "Deal." Someone knocks lightly on my office door. It's Evan, leaning against the frame. "We're waiting on you," he says. "Our fearless founder/president. You're about to get toasted against your will." I laugh. Wouldn't be the first time. I return to the dining room. Everyone is gathered around the old Carter table, my table now. The wildflowers in the center lean toward the soft light. My place is at the middle of one long side, not at the far end. There is no head of this table, not really. But people keep looking at me like I'm something central, and for once, it doesn't make me want to shrink. Evan stands, glass in hand. "I'd like to propose a toast," he says, because of course he does. "To Natalie," he begins, "who has taught us that productivity is not about doing more, but about doing the right things for the right people." Maya cuts in. "And for being the kind of leader who remembers your birthday and your bug fix preferences." Laughter. Alexis lifts her glass. "To the woman who answered client emails from her dad's office, then went upstairs and decided she didn't need that house to feel like home." The two fellowship recipients exchange a glance. Then one of them speaks up, voice shaking just a little. "To the person who funded our prototypes," she says, "and then looked us in the eye and told us we weren't crazy for wanting more than what our families expected." My eyes burn. I stand, because it feels wrong to stay seated. Everyone turns toward me, faces open, no one angling for better light or better proximity to someone else's approval. I rest my fingertips on the edge of the table. "To Grandma Helen," I say first, because none of this would have unfolded this way without her letter. "Who taught me that if the only chair anyone offers you is the one by the kitchen door, you're allowed to buy your own table?" Soft murmurs of agreement. "And to all of you," I continue, "my chosen family. You never once made my worth conditional on my performance in a room I didn't choose. You saw me before Forbes lists and acquisition announcements. You see me when I'm crying on Slack at 1 a.m. because QA broke everything. You save me a chair in the middle, not because I'm useful to the optics, but because I'm me." My voice cracks on the last word. I clear my throat. "To chairs that matter," I say, "and the people who fill them." Glasses clink. Someone whoops. The sound wraps around me like warmth. At the far end of the table sits an empty chair. I left it that way on purpose. It is not a symbol of exile. It's a reminder that I don't have to fight to sit anywhere I'm not invited as myself. A reminder that someday, maybe a family member, Chloe, maybe even my parents if they ever learn how, might sit there as a guest at my table, on my terms. And a reminder that, even if they never do, the table is not empty. It's full of people I chose and who chose me back. Later, when the plates are empty and the laughter has softened into the kind of murmured conversation that only happens when people feel safe, I find myself alone for a moment, leaning against the counter, looking at the table. I follow the grain of the wood with my eyes. It has held so much. Homework and tantrums and holiday arguments and nights when I went to bed feeling like a ghost. Now it holds mentorship conversations, startup gossip, jokes and toasts to second chances. My phone buzzes once more. A photo from Chloe. It's an old snapshot she must have found in some forgotten box. The two of us at ages 7 and 10, hair tangled, faces dirty from playing outside, sitting side by side on the old backyard swing. No parents, no stage, just us, grinning at the camera like the world belongs to us. On the back, in a second photo she sends, she scribbled, "We were happy before they taught us to sit in different places." A lump rises in my throat. I look back at my table, my friends, my team, my fellow women builders laughing and leaning toward each other under the soft light. For 32 years, I thought the only way to feel chosen was to finally win a place at my parents' table, to stand in the center of their frame, to hear my name in my father's speech. Now I know better. Some chairs will never be offered to you. Some rooms will never see you, no matter how brightly you burn. Some families will rearrange themselves 3 across and call it complete, without even noticing that you're still standing there. But there is always another option. You can take your grandmother's letter, your own hard-won money, your stubbornness, your grief, and your grit, and you can buy a table. You can set it how you like. You can invite people who look you in the eye and see a whole human being, not a convenient supporting role. You can leave a chair empty, not because you're waiting for someone to show up and save you, but because you remember who you refuse to be. The chair that matters most is the one where you are fully yourself, fully seen, fully loved. And finally, gloriously, I am sitting in it.